Good evening and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World, where every word matters. I'm Diana Skaya. Now this evening we dive into a complex legal situation unfolding in Poland. Zbigniew Ziobro, the country's former justice minister and a key figure in the previous administration, has been detained after repeatedly refusing to appear before a parliamentary committee investigating his alleged misuse of Pegasus, an Israeli-made covert surveillance system used by the former Law and Justice government to spy on its opponents. Now, his detention has sparked intense political debate, raising important questions about the rule of law in Poland and the independence of the judiciary. Now, to discuss these legal implications, I'm joined by Jowanka Jakubek-Lalik, legal and political scientist working at the University of Warsaw. Jowanka, it's so nice to have you here, back here on World Talks.
My pleasure, thank you.
We can almost say that that Ziobro finally surrendered to police. I mean, he's accusing Donald Tusk's government of committing unlawful actions, fostering anarchy in Poland. But first and foremost, what are the legal grounds for issuing an arrest warrant for a former government official like Ziobro, and how is it going to affect his rights as a lawmaker? How is this all going to look like?
Well, first of all, issuing arrest warrant is not such an easy situation. It's a complex procedure in criminal law. So for the time being, the situation is that former Minister of Justice Zbigniew Ziobro did not appear at the committee where he was summoned as a witness. Therefore, he was detained by police. The next step of the procedure would be the request that is made by this committee to the court to issue arrest warrant. But again, in order to issue such an arrest warrant, you need to have a proper justification. And issuing arrest warrant is a very, let's say, hard instrument of criminal law, meaning that the court would need to really take into consideration all these implications.
I mean, Ziobro has questioned the legality of this entire Pegasus probe. What's really at stake for him at this point?
Well, all these problems are resulting from the last years and the challenges of the rule of law that we continue to have in Poland after the 8 years of challenging rule of law by the Law and Justice government, meaning that currently the Constitutional Tribunal is sometimes acting in a way that is challenging the status of committees in the parliament, even as in this case. However, the Constitutional Tribunal does not have the competences to do that. So again, the situation is very complicated, and Zbigniew Ziobro is using arguments which are not in line of the interpretation of the law. Like, is this committee legal or not legal? Yes, so the basis of working of this committee in the parliament, they are correct. However, they were challenged by the Constitutional Tribunal, which is overstretching of the competences of the tribunal, and this makes a justification for Zbigniew Ziobro to claim that there is a problem, legal problem of the status of this committee.
Is there a way for Ziobro to appeal this arrest warrant and this committee's decision to detain him? I mean, what legal procedures could he actually refer to?
Mr. Zbigniew Ziobro, as every citizen of the Republic of Poland, is entitled to use all of his rights as a citizen. So, of course, all this criminal procedure, all these appeals from the decisions of the court, he's perfectly entitled to do so. And also he has very good lawyers to do that.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, we're seeing, we saw these things like on the media. How did you personally react to the way that it happened? I mean, he was giving a live interview, right? And then that's where he was detained by police. How do you, see this, where he actually surrendered to police? How do you see this?
Well, first of all, we have two separate aspects of this situation. One is legal, that we just discussed, and the other is, of course, political. So Mr. Zbigniew Ziobro is, of course, playing on the sentiments of parts of the electorate. He's trying to appeal to the electorate. He's trying to show himself in a specific light so that the followers of his party, the supporters of his party, will see him as the person person who is prosecuted by the current government. So I would say that this is a specifically political game that we are watching. However, we need to take into consideration that the legal aspect, so the other aspect of the situation, needs to be specifically in the rule of law state, in the democracy, needs to be properly done step by step as the law and all the procedures are advising.
And what kind of time frame could we be looking at? Is this something that would take months, years, weeks for this entire situation to go through?
I think that for the, let's say, political interest of the party is, of course, to be kept in the spotlight. So the situation is used in that respect. However, observing how the executive is functioning, or also how professionally police officers were conducting this detainment of Mr. Ziobro, it needs to be taken into consideration that the state is working as it should be. So all the institutions are working very professionally. And again, if Mr. Ziobro has some other opinion, he's entitled to challenge the decision and to appeal to the court.
Let me ask you this. How does all these political tensions that are surrounding this case right now, surrounding the upcoming presidential elections in Poland, are going to actually influence these legal proceedings and the situation that's unfolding and the public perception of figures like Ziobro and of Donald Tusk's government?
You are right that the context of presidential election is very important here. So all the activities of the current government, of the opposition, need to be perceived in the context of upcoming presidential elections. So on one hand, the government is striving to bring back the procedures in the democratic rule of law state. And on the other hand, the opposition is trying to highlight politically that they are prosecuted for their actions that they have done during the 8 years of the Law and Justice government. So it is a political struggle, and it is also a struggle to convince the voters who are going to vote in the presidential elections in May. So this is a political struggle to gain more support from the electorate.
Would you say it's a political stunt or a political struggle, like you just mentioned?
Again, it depends from the perspective that we are looking at. I think that every political figure is trying to use this kind of situations to their advantage, but in the end of the day, we really need to look at the basics, and we need to assess what legal implications of this situation is.
You're talking about legal implications. Let me ask you a little bit about this Pegasus software. I mean, what are the implications of using spyware like Pegasus to monitor politicians and journalists? I mean, are there any international or, Polish legal frameworks that could hold the Law and Justice government accountable for this alleged surveillance?
Pegasus software has been invented for the purposes of investigating terrorist activities. How the Polish government, the previous Polish government, was using it against the opposition was breaking the basics, the fundamentals of the human rights and also of the political impartiality. So in this kind of cases should be taken into consideration when also we are looking at the legal implications.
What can you tell me about this? To my understanding, this spyware was used to target nearly 600 individuals in Poland.
And some of them from prominent political figures and prosecutioners and judges even, yes.
And now finally, just really briefly, we're almost out of time. So now, if a politician or government official defies a parliamentary summons, how is this going to affect the integrity of democratic institutions?
Well, the politicians are held accountable according to the specific rules and procedures. So all of the members of parliament, the political figures, are entitled to their immunity. However, if they are breaking the law, this immunity can be taken away from them. But this is subject to a parliamentary vote. And then they can be held accountable according to all these legal procedures.
Well, this is definitely a developing story, and very interesting of how it will all unfold in the weeks to come. And interestingly enough, will it come through before the presidential election or after? I guess only time will tell. Thank you so much, Jowanka Jakubek-Lalik, for being with us here on World Talks. this evening, breaking it down for us.
My pleasure.
And that's all for this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.